Now, this year's CDF, we also caught up with Ms. Joanne Crevoiserat, the CEO of Tapestry, the parent company of the brands such as Kate Spade and Coach. We discussed how Western luxury brands such as hers is adapting to China's rapidly evolving socio-economic and aesthetic shifts. Ms. Joanne Crevoiserat, it's so good to see you and welcome to Beijing and to CDF for the first time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
How do you feel coming to the CDF, listen to the policymakers? What's your takeaway from the policymakers regarding China's policy direction, and what opportunities do they potentially present to your products and your company?
As you know, Tapestry has been in the China market for over 2 decades. It's a market where we have seen tremendous opportunity, and we continue to see the opportunity here. And I've been, first of all, so excited to be here and having this important dialogue with all of the officials and with other CEOs from around the world about the future potential of this market. And I've been encouraged to hear the constructive dialogue, the warm welcome we've received, and the constructive dialogue particularly around the economic changes and reforms that are happening in China. I think it's quite exciting and an exciting time to be here.
China sets its GDP growth target 5% for the past few years, down from 10-12% if you consider 2010s. What is your outlook on Chinese economy, particularly the consumer market for your products?
Well, the consumer market has undergone tremendous shocks over the last few years if you consider the impacts of COVID and supply chain challenges. But what we have seen is quite a resilient Chinese consumer, and we continue to stay close to the consumer to understand what's important to them, to make sure that we can respond and react, particularly the needs of the Chinese consumer. So in the last quarter, we inflected back to growth in this market. So we grew low single digits in China. In the second quarter, we expect to grow for the full year, for our full fiscal year, and expect to see continued growth in this market for years to come. We think there's a tremendous amount of potential here in China.
By talking about the last quarter, you mean the fiscal quarter or the
fiscal quarter, which would be our holiday quarter, ended in December. And just before even the New Year holiday, we saw a really nice response from Chinese consumers to the innovation that we're offering in the market. And again, we expect to continue to see that growth through the rest of our fiscal year, which ends in June, but also into the future.
Your colleague from Asia Pacific once said, for Tapestry and your brands, China is not just a market, but a source of inspiration, breakthroughs, innovation breakthroughs, and fashion innovation. How would you characterize the importance of the China market to your brands?
The China market is critically important to our brands. We learn so much in this market. This is a market where the consumer moves incredibly fast. The consumer is the most digitally engaged consumer that we have. And as we meet the demands of this consumer with innovation, we are better able to serve the rest of the world with those innovations. And I'll give you a few examples. I think as COVID impacted consumers, we became much more reliant on the digital economy, right? Because consumers weren't as comfortable going into our physical stores. And we developed those practices to reach consumers through digital properties. You mentioned live streaming, but also through partnerships with digital platforms here in China. And we learned from that engagement and those capabilities that we were able to take to the rest of the world. Another great example is in sustainability. The consumer in China is very interested in sustainable products, and last year we introduced Coachtopia, which is a fully circular sub-brand of the Coach business, and we've seen tremendous response from the Chinese consumer to that product. And we're taking learnings from Coachtopia, the sub-brand, and applying it across our portfolio to all of our brands.
Great example. Can you perhaps elaborate on the e-commerce platform where you said Chinese consumers are the most digitally connected? I love that word, digitally connected, and exporting that model to which part of the world that has copied the success of China?
We've taken the learnings from the digital platforms and the experience that we have reaching consumers in that way and applied them to our own digital platforms in the United States and in Europe, where we have also robust digital business. We're taking learnings from how to connect with them, how we merchandise our sites, to how we transact and where we transact. You know, what's interesting is some of these platforms, the consumer has a different intent. In one platform, it may be a social platform where they want to discover brands and hear more about brands. There may be another platform, maybe on Tmall, where they want to transact and buy the product. So we want to make sure that we provide the best experience for the consumer based on what their needs are on each individual platform. And that research really started here in China for us.
Talk to us more about Coachtopia, if you don't mind. You're here in China again. The air is visibly cleaner compared to 10 years ago. A grain revolution, a grain campaign is going on right now. How are the Chinese consumers taking the Coachtopia, not just as a product, but as a concept, as a lifestyle?
You know, we try to stay close to consumers to understand what they value. And what we heard from consumers is it's beyond just sustainability. It is about the full lifestyle. And so Coachtopia really was developed as a fully circular sub-brand, which means it's not made with virgin materials. It's made with waste and recycled materials fully and made to have a life forever. So it's made to be unmade so that we can reuse the product at the end of life. So a fully circular sub-brand. And what's important is we've also engaged a Gen Z consumer. We found that this is very particularly relevant with younger consumers. And as part of Coachtopia, we have a beta community of over 100 Gen Z consumers who give us insight and input into the design process, because we have also heard that they want to be part of the design process. So there are a lot of things about the Coachtopia sub-brand that particularly younger consumers are gravitating to.
Talking about the younger consumers, including Gen Z, there has been a visible trend going on that is, preferring a national brand or a guochao. There's almost a nationalist brand, but not so much, preferring national domestic indigenous brands versus Western brands as they would back in the day. Have you noticed this trend with the Chinese consumers, and how are you adapting?
Well, you know, it's our job to make sure we're delivering the innovation that they value, and that includes the aesthetic innovation. And one of the things that we've done to make sure that we can resonate with a local consumer is through collaborations. And I'll give you a couple examples of how that's really come to life with the Coach brand specifically. One collaboration we did in the Year of the Rabbit was a collaboration in Shanghai with the White Rabbit candy brand. And we had very innovative, unexpected, I would say, product with a very seamless collaboration with a very authentic Chinese brand, that it showed that we understood the heritage of the Chinese consumer and also respected the heritage of the Coach brand and brought those two together in a very seamless way. Another way that we're reflecting Chinese tastes and preferences is through our collaborations with young artists. And we also have a program called the China Cool Project, where we support young design students in local colleges and provide sort of an incubator for those local design students. So those are all ways that help us really reflect Chinese values and Chinese heritage in an authentic way with our brand.
Given the fact that the top-tier Chinese cities like Shanghai, Beijing, and Hong Kong, Guangzhou, they're pretty much saturated with the big brands, domestic and foreign. Are there plans to expand into third-tier, fourth-tier cities of China, smaller cities, even suburban, rural areas in the future?
Absolutely. We already have a very diversified portfolio of brick and mortar stores. Today, we have almost 400 stores in China across 90 cities, and those span from Tier 1 to Tier 4 cities today. Our process is really to follow the consumer. We talk to a lot of consumers. We stay close to them. That's why we've developed such a robust e-commerce and digital approach, but also how we will determine where our next development will be. And we see opportunity for further development, more store development across Tier 1 through Tier 4 cities in the future.
Chinese, a lot of them are feeling the pinch emerging from the pandemic years, and they're what we call the downgrading of consumption. They're spending less, they're buying cheaper alternatives to what they would usually buy. this could mean different things, right? They could shift from a more expensive brand to Coach, or in other cases, they could shift from Coach to a domestic Chinese brand. Have you observed the impact of this trend, consumption downgrade on your products?
What we have observed is momentum building behind our brand, and it really is our job to deliver the value the consumer respects. And we know that as they purchase our products, but we talk to our consumers constantly so that we understand what they need and what they want from our brands. We believe that our brands deliver incredible value into the marketplace, and it's our job to deliver the innovation that they value. We are also appealing to consumers on an emotional level. So as we get close to consumers and understand what's important to them, and again, I'll use the Coach brand as an example. The Coach brand positioning is around expressive luxury. And what that means is leveraging our product to help a consumer show their own self-expression and build confidence. We've heard, particularly from young consumers, a desire to build confidence. And it's that emotion that is associated with our brand that helps the consumer, particularly the young consumer, see the value and the innovation that we're delivering.
Expressive luxury.
Yes.
And it's the first time I heard that word, and I thought that was a brilliant term.
Thank you. And it resonates with young consumers. They want to show their own individuality, but also we're looking to build confidence so that our brand, as we deliver innovation, we want to make sure we're supporting the consumer in their journey.
I heard that there's also a cafe coming up, not only coming up, it has been in place in Shanghai that is under Coach.
Yes, we are also innovating in the way that we bring experiences to life for the brand. And what we want to do is give the consumer an immersive experience and a way to connect with the brand beyond just a product. And we found that these cafes, and we opened one in Daimaru in Shanghai most recently, very much resonate with young consumers. They can come in and have a coffee and meet with their friends and browse our products. We've seen a lot of success, and we expect to build more Coach cafes in the future.
Talking about artificial intelligence, how big a factor is that? Because it is much talked about these days, considering DeepSeek, which is considered even a more powerful algorithm than their foreign counterparts. A revolution happening in earnest right now in China and other parts of the world. How big a factor is that to your company?
Well, I think AI development is really exciting, and it's been great to hear about that development and the focus here in China on AI. And as a company, we've gone through a transformation where we really want to harness, and we're striving to harness technology to improve the experiences and the product and the execution that we deliver to consumers around the world. It's been a main focus of ours. We've invested in it. Our mantra is to put the technology in the hands of the decision makers in our company to unleash the potential of this technology. We are already using AI and AI models to help us understand demand predictors of product we're developing, who might appreciate this product, where around the world will this resonate with a consumer, and it allows us to make decisions on both the product we develop, where we position it, how much we buy, so the full demand picture to make it a more efficient model. And I think we're only just scratching the surface of AI. I see our teams really gravitating to it. They're using it. They're asking new and better questions every day of these tools. So I'm excited about the potential.
How is Tapestry feeling the impact of the macro level changes, sometimes the interruptions happening between states and the policies that has been fluctuating, especially considering the China-US relations? As much as Chinese consumers love your products, or American consumers love Chinese products?
If there's one constant in the world, it's change. And we've gone through a lot of change and very big disruption over the last 5 years, if you consider the supply chain disruptions and the disruptions related to COVID. And I see change as opportunity in our business. We continue to focus on the consumer. Our job is to stay close to what is impacting the consumer, how they're feeling, and what they value, and then build innovation into that. All of this change that you just described will impact consumers. It'll impact consumers around the world. It'll impact consumers in the US and in China. And it's our job to stay close to the consumer, to understand what's important to them at any given point in time, and be agile with our business model so that we can deliver the innovation that they need and that they expect from us. I think that our company is well positioned to hear from our customers, to constantly monitor that environment and respond and deliver beautiful product and really compelling experiences like the cafe that our consumers value around the world.
China is currently the second largest consumer market for Coach, next to the United States. What can the Chinese consumers expect next in the foreseeable month and years to come?
We're very optimistic about the opportunities we see in this market. The Chinese consumers, as we mentioned, are an incredible source of inspiration for our company and our business. And as they inspire us, we'll continue to innovate. And based on that, we see a tremendous runway for growth, not just with the Coach brand, but across our portfolio of brands here in China. So we're excited about what's to come.
Joanne, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that will do it for this edition of The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again next time.